Welcome to Car and Driver. This is a Kia Niro plug-in hybrid that we've driven for 40,000 miles. If you're unfamiliar with our long-term test, the way it works is we get a vehicle, live with it for about a year or so to drive that many miles. The goal is to find out what your new car's like to actually live with once that new car smell goes away. So we'll report on what it's like to commute, live with, the service, the maintenance, the quirks, real Michigan weather, and all that. And also, because this is a plug-in hybrid, there's also all kinds of philosophical debate, not about whether plug-in hybrids are inherently good or bad, you can do that all day, but whether a vehicle like this actually matches the way people live. The Niro is available as a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, and an EV. Because we've had plenty of hybrids and EVs in our long-term fleet before, we opted for the plug-in hybrid to see if the best of both worlds approach actually works in real-world use. This is a fully loaded SX Touring. That means it has all the features you would want for daily use. We're talking power liftgate, Harman Kardon audio system, heated, ventilated front seats, sunroof, and so forth. Under the hood is a 1.6-liter four-cylinder, a dual-clutch 6-speed automatic, an 8.9 kilowatt-hour battery pack, and the key detail is that the electric motor sends power to the front wheels through the transmission. That's something we'll talk about later in the driving experience. Throw in a couple carpeted floor mats and a cargo net, and you're looking at a total price of just under 42 grand. The Niro's best attribute is a basic and, let's be honest, a somewhat boring level of competence, right? This is not an inspiring or a thrilling vehicle in any sense of the word. This isn't a vehicle that's going to inspire you to take the long way home, right? But it is a good car, and it's good at doing good car things. The logbook was full of praise for the basics, for example, how this feels spacious for its size, how the front and the second rows are genuinely usable, how the cargo shape makes us very practical, even more so than some small SUVs. To that end, cargo space is pretty good, but with one caveat. In our testing, we fit 6 carry-ons in this space behind the rear seats. That's 2 less than we were able to get in the normal hybrid because the battery sits right underneath here, raising the load floor. And then there's the plug-in part. I don't know about you, but I get kind of a smug satisfaction out of driving a plug-in hybrid in EV mode while never using the gasoline engine. Just looking at the tach and seeing how it's always at 0 and I know the engine's off. I'm not burning the gas that I paid for, even though I'm using electricity that I paid for, right? It is weirdly engaging or nice to have that experience. On the other side too, the range combined between the electric motor and the fuel tank is very strong. You're looking at 400 miles, assuming the batteries are fully charged, and that's a very confidence-inspiring number if you're somebody who's concerned about range anxiety. If your life matches what a plug-in hybrid wants, consistent charging access, short commutes, lots of city driving, this powertrain can make a lot of sense. The trouble is that many of us don't meet those requirements, but that's more of an issue with plug-in hybrids and not this vehicle. So let's talk about this vehicle specifically. The bulk of our complaints centered on the powertrain. As we mentioned, the way this vehicle is oriented is that the electric motor drives the vehicle, drives the front wheels through the 6-speed dual clutch transmission. Who knows why Kia opted to make the powertrain work that way? It could be cost, it could be packaging, but it is what it is, and what it is clumsy, right? In all electric mode, you get an EV that shifts, and the quality of those shifts isn't very great. This car can feel clumsy and clunky occasionally. If you've driven a lot of hybrids or EVs, you're used to like a smooth, constant push and shove. That's how the best electrified powertrains work. And this one doesn't do that. When the gas engine is helping, you get 180 horsepower, which isn't powerful, but it's not slow either. It's somewhere in between. And none of this makes the car unusable, but it does make for a lot of quirks when driving. the powertrain never really feels like one smooth, cohesive unit. It feels like the transmission, the electric motor, and the gas engine each get a vote in deciding how to deliver acceleration when you need it. You could drive around some of that, but it's always going to be prevalent in the experience. We also had a couple other complaints about the vehicle's stuff that's small but notable. The highway driving assist system had a tendency of pulling the vehicle to the left, and some editors found the seats uncomfortable for a variety of reasons, whether it was the bolstering, the seat position, the range of movement, and so on. Now we get to the bigger philosophical debate about plug-in hybrids. For starters, this Niro is rated at 33 miles of all-electric range, and when we tested it on our 75-mile-an-hour real-world highway test, it gave us 27 miles on the battery alone. Keep in mind, you'd fare better if you were driving at slower city speeds, but that only works if that's actually your commute. Plenty of us here at the office have to commute on the freeway at pretty high speeds, just being honest, right? As for charging, a few of us have level 2 chargers at home, and that worked out great because effectively you plug this vehicle in when you get home or before your bed, and you'd wake up and take off for work with a fully topped off battery. Others had to rely on typical household 120 volt outlets, and that worked too, but they just took longer, so you'd really have to make sure that you plugged in as soon as you stopped driving. So our collective use case doesn't really align with what a plug-in hybrid wants. And that explains why our observed energy consumption of 41 mpge is so much lower than the advertised 108 mpge estimate. That headline figure assumes that you're charging regularly and using a lot of electric miles. We weren't. And that's the trick about plug-in hybrids. They can be very efficient and very functional, but your lifestyle and commute is the deciding factor. For winter, we installed a set of Nokian Remedy WRG5 all-weather tires, and with those tires on, the experience was basically a non-issue. The car was stable and secure, the stability control was attentive, but without being like hysterical, and the whole experience was just fine. It's a good reminder that a good set of tires will do more for your winter driving's stability and confidence than just about anything else. Now, the cold weather did what it always does to electrified vehicles and took a bite out of efficiency, but on the whole, the driving experience in real Michigan winter, this Niro was easy to trust. Maintenance and service was pretty straightforward, and most of it was pretty inexpensive too, and that's what you want from a vehicle like this, right? We had 5 service visits in 40,000 miles. Most of those were for usual stuff: oil filter, cabin air filter, tire rotation, and prices for those visits would range between $130 to $200 because, you know, dealerships are going to be dealerships, right? The exception was the 32,000 mile service, which called for an inverter coolant flush or change, and that's the specific or bespoke fluid that's used for the high voltage stuff in the hybrid system. And it ain't cheap. That service was $530. The rest of it, though, was down to real world stuff that happens when you have a vehicle, right? We had to replace a tire because we lost one on a road trip. Well, we didn't lose it, it got damaged, you know what I mean? We had to repair a wheel at one point. When that got damaged, we don't know how. It's probably a pothole because, hey, it's Michigan and Michigan's gonna be Michigan. There's a cracked windshield, but none of this is an indictment to the Niro from a reliability and maintenance perspective. That's just what happens when you drive a vehicle, right? As a car, the Niro is a pretty straightforward recommendation because it has a lot going for it. It's roomy, it's quiet, it's comfortable, it's practical. It handled road trips without complaint, it performed fine in Michigan winters on the right set of tires, and its maintenance and service requirements weren't crazy expensive outside of that one visit, right? As a plug-in hybrid, though, it gets a little more complicated. As we've already said, plug-in hybrids only make sense if it matches your lifestyle and your habit and your commute. If you have a charger at home and if your commute fits comfortably within the EV range, a plug-in hybrid makes a lot of sense. If it doesn't, though, get a hybrid. Save yourself some money.